It is the Flow Friday night sports show across our Flow network today, and through the summer months of the year, a lot of the girls around our Flow network get out and enjoy a game of softball. But I tell you what, for guys and girls in a lot of parts of Australia, softball is a huge sport, and rightly so. It's an Olympic sport, and that's why we have our next guest on the line. We've gone straight to the top today, folks. The head coach of the Aussie Spirit, the Australian women's softball team, is Laing Harrow, who himself was an absolute star on the diamond for Australia in the men's side of things, and we'll bring him in now. Laing, welcome to a Country View, to the Flow Friday Night Sports Show. Sorry, how are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on the program. And first of all, congratulations on being appointed the head coach. How long have you been in the job now?
Yeah, I guess now I'll be coming up to going into my third year now. So it's been very exciting, challenging, and I have a lot of great opportunities to meet so many great people and be around so many great athletes and that. So it is a real privilege to be a part of the program.
Well, before we get into how the Aussie Spirit are looking ahead of Tokyo, bearing in mind you were obviously appointed back with the goal of getting the girls through to the Olympics and for the Olympic campaign, it's probably dragged out an extra year than you would have anticipated, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it has. It certainly has. As everyone's well aware, going through this pandemic and the girls did an amazing job, qualifying for the Olympics, and that just, at the moment it seems like a long ways ago, but, and with things being postponed, tournaments, camps, and so forth, it's had its challenges with the girls and, disappointment in that area. But, I think they've come through the other end. They've really worked hard in the past year during this, not able to travel and play competitive ball. And, they've taken upon themselves to, work hard in the gym, work hard at training, and which finally brought us together at the camp at the IS. And, we were able to see him in action again and, just start seeing where we need to make a few more improvements and seeing what we're doing well. So it's been good to be back on the diamond with him again.
Indeed. Now, you and I share something in common. We're going to tell your story now before we get back into the girls and their preparation. We share one thing, I think, in common. Obviously, my lack of ability on the diamond is certainly something we don't share. You were a very, very talented softballer, but we both got into this sport, the sport of softball, with, a fatherly influence, shall we say. The accent is undeniable. Tell us a little bit about your background and how, first of all, you came to Australia, and second of all, how you ended up getting really involved in softball.
Yeah, I guess you're correct. Father did have a big influence in that. And I guess how I came to Australia was I was a 16-year-old kid. My dad, Bob, had an opportunity to come and coach in the ACT. So I tagged along with them that year in '86, and I was fortunate enough. I stayed on, played a bit of ice hockey in the winter, went to school here, and then the rest of my family migrated down. And I've been here ever since, and married, and wife Allison, and 2 kids, and that's really my story, how I got here.
In terms of your career on the diamond, it started at a young age as well. It wasn't long after you got out here that you represented Australia in the World Championships. Now, when we talk softball, traditionally we're always talking about the women and the Aussie Spirit. Obviously, you're the head coach of that team. We'll come back to them in a minute. But Australian men's softball is particularly strong, and you've been lucky enough to go to several World Championships where Australia traditionally performed pretty well.
Yeah, no, I was very fortunate. Yeah, back in '88, it was the first time we sent Australian team to World Championships, which happened to be in Saskatoon, Canada. I was the youngest on the team. But I guess that's where it all started from a playing experience for Australia, and I was able to represent the Philippines, and in Midland, Michigan was my last one in '96. But able to, I guess, take that experience too, and then just got involved from the coaching side of it. As a player coach, I guess, locally, and then, had the opportunities to, assistant coach a fair bit under Softball Australia with, I guess, the junior Steelers, as they're known.
Let's talk now specifically about the lead up to the Olympic Games, because that's obviously the Aussie Spirit's major focus ahead of Tokyo 2021. You mentioned the pandemic earlier on and what the girls have had to go through to try and prepare for what has been a postponed Olympic campaign. You've just come out of camp. You've got another one coming up. How difficult has it been as the head coach to prepare an Olympic team for an Olympic campaign?
Yeah, I know one thing, I've become a lot better with my laptop and Zoom calls and so forth, because, that's the way we did a lot of communication with our athletes and how we engaged there. And I guess also, too, I did join in on some trainings through Zoom, with girls in Queensland and New South Wales, just able to, I guess I'm going around on an iPad, but, just able to communicate that way and observe and that. So, we found different ways to engage with the athletes. And, I think we made use of a bit of technology to help us in an area where we needed some improving in our hitting and that. So, we took advantage of that. And I feel that, coming back together and that, we've seen some big improvements.
Traditionally, watching Australian softball for many years at the highest level, that is what's caught us out, I think, in World Championships and previous Olympic Games many years ago, is our pitching's always pretty strong, our defence is always pretty strong, but when it comes to offence, obviously the pitching in softball is quite dominating from places like the United States anyway, and we know the field work of the Japanese. So what sort of work have you been able to get done? And I know you were an accomplished hitter in your career, so the hitting is obviously going to be key in Tokyo.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. As you said, pitching is always dominant, and we have quality pitchers once again in our staff. And yeah, offense is always an area, I feel we need to score more than, one or two runs. And, I think we're trying to generate a bit more power when we hit the ball. And, and hopefully that generates a few more balls, maybe potentially going over the fence and, scoring some of those key runs that were really what we really need. And we know we're up against it with the good pitching like the U.S. and Japan, and you can even go as far as Mexico and Canada that have top-notch pitching and that throw good velocity and good movement. And we got to make sure that we're up to that pace, because potentially we're not going to see that pace till come Olympic time if we don't get any international games available to us beforehand.
I think many people listening today will be familiar with baseball. Some may have played it in regional areas across the country. Men listening today would be less familiar with softball. It doesn't get played for the men in country areas all that much. Regional areas, bigger regional areas, yes, but certainly not in the smaller rural and regional areas. I've been lucky enough to play both, and I'm sure you probably have too. Hitting in softball is a completely different kettle of fish than it is in baseball. In fact, I think the baseballers have got it easier, and they'll tell you otherwise, given that they have a smaller ball to hit, but it doesn't do anywhere near as much as the softball does.
No, it's I've played a little while, just I guess a college day tournament here in Canberra, and we went out and hit the ball that day, and did have a lot of fun hitting it. Yeah, it is. I guess it's just the velocity the men can throw it at, and even the women throw it at it, and at a shorter distance. The reaction time, is pretty quick, and then obviously the ball moving up or down. So your decision making, you don't have a lot of time to make that decision whether you're swinging or not.
No, that is very true. All right, so the Olympic campaign coming up. When will the team leave our shores? Obviously, it's going to be difficult to get any supporters over there. We won't be able to, but we'll be watching from back here in Australia closely as your Olympic campaign begins. What are the plans for the team from this point on through until Tokyo later in the year?
Yeah, well, we're looking to have a camp just after Easter up in Brisbane for about a week and a half, just to get together again and play a few more inter-squad games and hopefully play against sort of a under 20s or under 23 male team, and that just to see a bit of extra pace around the bases and that. And then we're aiming to try and be in Japan sort of the last week in May or first week in June. So that's our plan. But as you say, what planes are flying over there at the moment and when and how is, there's still a lot of planning in that area to make it all happen.
There certainly is. Obviously, you'll be looking to medal, and you famously said already you want gold. Is there any shying away from that, or is that the ultimate goal?
No, I think after our camp, that's always our ultimate goal. It's been thrown out there a few times. We're not going over there to participate. Which means our standards really, we have to keep improving every day we show up in the ball field and, making sure we're doing the right things off the field as well and how we can best prepare ourselves to play the top countries around the world and give ourselves an opportunity to be playing in that final game to win that gold medal.
All the very best, and thanks for joining us here on the Flow Friday Night Sports Show.
Thanks, Chase, for having me.